Welcome to JJR Sports Talk Podcast. Cast. Yeah. With your good friends, John, Joe, and Rummy. We're here to talk baseball, NLCentral baseball. We're going to start out with the Cubs outfield. And we're going to
lead off with the Cardinals outfield.
Cardinals outfield.
Because there is way too many outfielders on the Cardinals.
You got a lot of guys over there in Cardinal land.
We're just a little perplexed.
They've got that problem of too many talented MLB-ready players.
Yeah, well,
The Cardinals usually have that problem, don't they?
And they've got Peter Borges, who they brought in, and he's taking John Jay's spot. You had Matt Adams come in that moves Alan Craig out to the outfield, and obviously Matt Holliday's been a mainstay. That leaves out guys like Oscar Taveras and John Jay. We're both really talented outfielders, and I'm a little confused about the trade for Borges.
well, the only reason that I can think of the Cardinals really wanting to get a little extra depth there is because Oscar Taveras might not be ready in their eyes. Also, Alan Craig will play first base sometimes.
He'll play some.
I don't think Matt Adams is ready to play 162. You know,
Alan Craig, I think they are concerned with like his injury. He didn't play? I mean, he was mildly hurt.
I don't think it's
last
the kind
year.
of injury that'll come up.
No, but I mean, don't you think they could? It's kind of more borderline insurance for Alan Craig. Oh, he's not going to play, or he's not that hurt, but if he gets hurt, you can rest him like 3-4 games.
Yeah.
You can insert another defensive player who can at least not be a liability in the outfield.
The only problem with that is if they need to bring up a guy who's tearing it up in AAA, guess what? Can't do it because there's too much room at the top. Because they send John Jay down to AAA, he's going to get picked up on waivers. He'd have to clear waivers. So that's just not something they're going to have the luxury of doing. I think they're going to trade John Jay or Borjas, determining what happens in spring training. I mean, it just has to. I mean, there's just too many players. If a guy's tearing it up in AAA and you can't bring him up, that's a problem.
Well, you like having a guy on the bench, but I mean, when you've got a guy like this on the bench, a guy like John Jay who somehow moved to it, I mean, he's not doing you any good there. He'd be better value trading for a prospect who's not at the level he's at yet, and building towards the future, sustaining your success. Because when you've got, this guy 2 years ago batted 305, 276 last year, he's good defensively. I mean, he's basically PDB, and John Jay.
Who's that?
Peter Borges.
Okay.
Okay,
just
Bourgeois,
making that
whatever his name is.
I used to call him Bourgeois, but then I realized I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
I don't know his name.
Borges?
But now I better know him now.
They're pretty much the same player. When you look at their stats, if anything, John Jay has the edge a little bit. He hits a little more power.
The only difference I would say is
last
that John Jay has way more strikeouts.
He strikes out.
And he doesn't walk a lot. His on-base percentage is really low.
And
he has a noodle arm. So that's
I don't know too much about John Jay, but is he just his arm is just not?
Well,
as
I mean,
powerful?
he's just a typical not good center field arm. I mean, he's just not there.
Well, okay, the odd man out seems to be John Jay, definitely.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I was looking at the interwebs, and he's not even on the depth chart on ESPN.com.
Yeah.
He's not even listed on.
He's
there.
on MLB though.
He's on it. Well, I guess
He's around, but I mean, just to even view him.
What would be a fair trade for the Cardinals for a John Jay and maybe somebody else?
Well, considering that anybody who's trading for
John
John Jay is going to be a starting player.
Yes.
Every
what
day.
What team needs a starting outfielder that?
Who doesn't? I mean, even the Pirates would take him, but I don't think they would.
It's hard to get that interdivision trade going. You don't see those often.
They wouldn't. The Cardinals wouldn't trade him to us. The Cardinals would be better off trading him to the American League, probably.
I don't know. It's a similar move to like when they had Colby Rasmus and they had that extra guy and they traded him for those bullpen arms that really led them into that World Series in 2011.
Yeah, Mark Ripchinski.
Yeah, him. They had Octavio Dotel was one of those guys. And I don't know if they're planning on having that in their pocket for the midseason trade. It doesn't make sense to keep all these guys the full season.
Oh, it would make sense to probably move them You would think the Cardinals are going to be there, at least at the top of the division, and then maybe an injury goes down, like a Jason Mott from last year, but then they just miraculously just insert a guy and he just is great.
Let me throw this at you. What if there was an injury to Goddard Molina. Okay, so now you only have their backup catcher, and they have to bring a guy from AAA. They're going to have to make a decision on which one of those outfielders is going to have to bite the dust. And they just have to, because you can't have – there's only so many players you have on a team. So if that injury isn't in the outfield, they're kind of screwed. Or at
That's
first
very
base. So just consider that. It's going to happen. I got a feeling. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of guys out there, and I think there's going to be some movement, and we'll see how that goes down the line. If we move on to I'd like to talk about Nelson Cruz's signing with Baltimore for $8 million. Now he promptly turned down his arbitration offer for $14 million, almost double that from the Rangers, thinking I'm going to do this great. Misread the market, took a small deal, and just to continue the theme from the last couple we've done. You talk about the Pirates and a free agent. Where were the Pirates on Nelson Cruz? You never hear the name come up. You're talking about sustaining success, getting better, being there again in the playoffs this year. And, they could use a right fielder. Who do they got over there, Brett?
They have Jose Tabata and Travis Snyder, who are not that good.
Wouldn't you love a Nelson Cruz at $8 million? I mean, where were the Pirates?
I would take him for $8 million. The only thing that really bothers me about this is not that I really wanted them to get Nelson Cruz. It's just that I've heard some stories out there about the Pirates considering bringing in Kendrys Morales. Both those players have a draft pick attached to them. So if you were gonna give up a draft pick,
if you were gonna, you'd go for the better guy.
for the better guy.
But
it's the
is
same
he the better guy?
Oh, hands down.
Absolutely.
Biogenesis doesn't scare you. Is he?
Let me tell you something about being scared by biogenesis. You look at Johnny Peralta, who I think with the Cardinals, right?
He's now with the Cardinals.
4-year deal. He got $50-some million.
A little bit different because of the position they play. Because Johnny Peralta wasn't really
biogenesis.
Because you think about biogenesis, you think about juicing. You think about juicing, about hitting. Johnny Peralta is not really that great of a hitter.
Yeah.
He's actually a much better fielder than he is anywhere close to his hitting.
Nelson Cruz is also 34.
He's older than you'd think.
33,
He's
34,
older,
But it's
35.
a 1-year deal. That's the difference.
I think they need to go out and get him for a 1-year deal for value when you're trying to contend. You have the opportunity to add that bat.
Pirates fans should not be mad that Nelson Cruz didn't get signed, but they should flip over cars if Kendrys Morales gets signed now, knowing that he went for $8 million.
I just think
Kendrys
that's
Morales
the
is going to
move.
go for probably $4.5.
But you lose the draft pick, so they better not
That's what I'm
get him.
saying. If you're going to lose him, I'm going for Cruz all
Everybody's
day.
so deathly scared of these losing the draft picks.
Yeah, well, you don't want to do that. I mean, even though a lot of these draft picks don't wind out, it's valuable to give up, and a lot do work. Wind out.
That's
you end up losing a Mike Trout or something, maybe.
Well, that was kind of. I heard Doug Melvin talking about it. Like, even if those guys are just sitting in your minor league system, those Matt Laportas, those guys, they turn into a half year of CC Sabathia, which gives you a playoff run.
Yeah.
Even if they're not great players, and even if you don't plan on them making it to the major leagues or anytime soon,
They
still
value.
become. They're still very valuable.
Yeah. Unless you're the Yankees, you need homegrown talent.
Yeah,
And even the Yankees relied all those championships were homegrown talent.
some of them.
Jerks.
Some of those
Jerks.
guys.
The core four.
The core four were all gone.
Yeah. Well, Jeter.
Yeah, I think
Essentially gone. Jeter's been
Essentially, he's gone.
it would
He
have
checked
worked out so well if we got Cruz too, because it would be a 1-year deal, and we have Gregory Polanco, who's a very, very highly touted right field prospect for the Pirates, who is not ready, but he most definitely
So
will
you
be
get
ready
1 year of Nelson
next year
Cruz.
He'll
after
be
Nelson
ready.
Cruz is gone. This
This is the move they didn't make. This is the move that I knew the Pirates weren't making that they should have. And it's just there. It just jumped at me when he signed that deal with the Orioles.
this just in: Nelson Cruz's agent is fired
He
forever.
has to be fired.
He should be,
If
I
you are
don't
if you're
Mystery
Nelson
the
Cruz and
market
you
that
do not
bad.
fire your agent after this year, you are the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, you
'Cause
must be really good
cost-
friends.
He cost you $6 million.
You must have
he's
married your
gonna-
agent's sister or something.
Something
if you don't
like
fire
that.
He's
him
gonna
after
go out and get AJ Burnett's agent.
that. Yeah.
Unless he's his own agent and then he just fires himself.
But I don't know. That's the move. That's the move they didn't make. I mean, you talk about and I don't know. Maybe the Cardinals. We're talking about the Pirates team outfield. The Cardinals. If you weren't division rivals, you might see John Jay. In Pittsburgh.
I don't think John Jay's worth a move for prospects for the Pirates because how much of an
Well, what
improvement?
prospect are you going to get? There's a lot of different prospects.
Well, this thing I wouldn't want to move for John Jay as a Pirates fan because he wouldn't be a drastic change from Jose Tabata.
That's
It was
where
not
Nelson Cruz
drastic.
could be with all that power.
Cruz is going to hit 30 home runs.
Were the Pirates ever like when Melky Cabrera was kind of a free agent? Do you think were the Pirates. Did you hear anything about that?
You don't hear about it a lot.
Well,
They don't really bring in a lot of guys,
do you think
they?
it,
No.
well, guys kind of related to like the whole cheating scandal, steroids, do you think it's like a organizational
Ultimately,
Kind
Well,
of, no?
you could say that, but then they traded for Marlon Byrd last year, who in my opinion, is
steroids
so
he's a
juicing.
big-
I mean,
he's a big juicer.
good God, look at him. His arms
Yeah.
are like.
Well, I mean, no, he's gotten suspended recently within the
Yeah,
last couple
so
of
was
years.
I'm thinking-
I didn't know that.
Marlon Byrd is a very
juicer.
large, stout
He's
man,
a stout man.
Yeah.
and he wasn't always like that.
I think all these organizations, they're not against it. They're looking at a PR standpoint. They're looking at a team value standpoint. Like, is the backlash we could potentially get worth the value you could bring to the team for the amount of money we're gonna have to pay him? And that no team is really that against.
The Pirates are kind of like a squeaky.
Signing a
The
guy.
Pirates are kind of like a squeaky clean kind of organization, though.
Yeah.
You have
They try to
you
be
have a
pretty
golden
good.
boy in Andrew McCutcheon. You have like
all
great
homegrown talent.
all homegrown
of it.
talent, beautiful ballpark, and they're not gruff, they're not tough, but they are good.
Maybe they could use that.
Maybe
Maybe they could
I
use
don't
that.
know. I'm just saying.
Hey,
but when you think about
we have a philosophy, obviously, to draft and develop players. It's been going on forever. The last time we signed a
Finally
free
struck a
agent,
little bit of gold.
we did sign a free agent last year when we got Russell Martin. And
Bring
believe it or
that
not,
too.
we outbidded the Yankees for him, so that makes me feel like this is some sort of alternate universe when that happened.
Wait, who'd you what?
Russell Martin,
Russell
we
Martin.
outbidded
Oh, yeah.
the Yankees for Russell Martin. Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Maybe he looked at the Yankees and was like, hey now.
Yankees could have been a lot better with him, that's for sure.
I guess that was
Well,
2 years ago.
now they've got McCann,
Last
so
year.
they're doing just
Last
fine.
year.
at
Was that
catcher.
last year?
No, 2 years back.
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
They found their catcher in McCann now, though. I mean, I would.
Yeah, we'll see if he can stay
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
McCann has been so bad, and his batting average was terrible last couple of years. But he's a big name, and the Yankees need.
Yeah, the
That's
Yankees
what they do.
everyone's
That's what they
talking
do.
about what a weird team they are this year. They're so old.
They are so old.
They're so old.
And they paid $500 million in the offseason this
I don't know if you
year.
guys noticed, but there are a lot of old teams this
There are
year.
a lot of old teams.
Yeah.
Between the Yankees, I mean the Phillies are so old.
They're a weird mix. They've got some young guys. They're a really strange mix. They don't know where they're going, what they're doing. I think I'm glad I'm not a Phillies fan right now. They don't know what direction they're going.
Yeah. You signed AJ Burnett to a 1-year deal for
$16
$16 million. What do you
They
plan
don't know
on
what
doing?
they're doing. They don't
Do you
know what
plan
they're doing.
on Chase Utley?
Well, I mean, you got Burnett, you got Lee,
Cliffley,
you got
Hamels.
Hamels. I mean, those 3 amazing starting pitchers.
You got Jamie Moyer?
So
no.
actually, he's going to be announcing, so they do have him.
They do have him.
They're so beat up and old. I mean, Ryan Howard's actually not that old, but he's just so injured.
He's at
Utley.
least 30 something. I mean,
No,
he's
I don't
not
know,
young.
man. You look
No,
him up,
he
he's
just-
younger than you think.
Whatever in the playoffs, when the last time they made the playoffs, like the last game, the last out, didn't he like snapped his Achilles
His
down?
Oh, yeah,
Achilles,
he's never
that
been
was
the
a couple
same.
of years ago.
Yeah.
Never been the
wasn't
same.
He snapped his Achilles.
Just
it?
run
The
out
very
the box.
last at
Yep.
bat. That's so sad.
It's
I mean, they
absolutely
still have
heartbreaking.
Jimmy Rollins. Hey,
He's-
Getting older,
Hey,
they're trying to-
Ryan Howard is still in those
They
Subway
signed-
commercials.
Ryan Howard
Just-
is
they
34. He's
signed-
older than I thought.
the Phillies signed.
He needs to eat more meatball marinara subs from Subway.
Yeah.
Those are not that bad.
No.
You know, you,
The bread, the
you
bread,
talk
the bread.
about not knowing what direction you're in and how quickly you can get derailed by a guy like Howard getting hurt. You know, a star with a long deal. You know, you talk about contracts and you talk about Homer Bailey's new deal. And how do you feel about it? Does that scare you to see a guy like that? And just definitely bringing in the Ryan Howard aspect, bringing in just the money for such a guy you would be getting so cheap. John, what do you think about that?
Well, okay. The question that we laid out before we kind of just came onto this thing was, what should the teams of the NLCentral be scared of? And this is the first thing I was thinking of. And I was like, Homer Bailey gets 6 years, $100 million,
105.
105, $106 million or something like that. That scares the crap out of me. Because teams like the Pirates, the Cardinals, who get their homegrown talent, yeah, they pay the Adam Wainwrights, they pay the Chris Carpenters, they pay the elite guys. But then you're not going to be, if you have another guy like that you want to keep around, you're not going to be able to, even if he's mediocre to average.
Say Michael Wacha has a year this year, like let's say he goes 3.8 ERA, very good season, not elite or anything, but good. He's kind of got the same stat line as Homer Bailey. And, like, what are the Cardinals going to give him $100 million?
No, they're
not. Because they're not dumb.
I'm just scared about what the money you pay this kid. You know, what does that say for the money you're going to have to pay everybody else?
Exactly.
It's insane.
If you get
the money that are going to pitchers.
If you get a mediocre to good starting pitcher and he's 25 years old, a team is going to more than overpay for him. And to stick him in as like their number 4 guy out in Dodgerland or out in Angel Land over there. They're just going to go, okay, you have 2. Well, Homer Bailey has 2 complete games, but if the Travis Woods of the world, the Jeff Samardzijas of the world, Jeff Samardzija is a good pitcher. Travis Wood is a 24-year-old guy who has like a 4.1 ERA, 4.2.
He's not that.
He's quality. That's quality.
Well, the league average ERA is about 4.1.
Okay, so that's an average pitcher.
Fair.
That's a quality average pitcher. You wouldn't feel terrible if you sent him out there.
No.
Now the things with Homer Bailey though is, the Reds aren't. You were just talking about the Yankees. They're not the Yankees. So they tied up all this money in Homer Bailey. There's gonna be other guys like maybe Latos or something that they can't keep maybe, and it's they don't have that
Latos
monster payroll. They don't have that monster payroll.
The Reds they're bargain chasers. So this is a very impactful move.
Now Bailey too. He's
27.
This salary or his contract is way backloaded, and some of the money is deferred to the end of each season. So they're trying. They're going really hard after it now. I guess they're trying to compete. They're an underperforming team. I think they could. They could be really good. They're a hard one to say because
the Reds could have won the division last year. Wouldn't have blown my mind.
Yeah,
but they're deferring money with them. It's a backloaded salary. So I look at it. Again, to bring up the Brewers, you look at Garza's deferred, Braun is deferred. We're going for it now, and 2020 is going to come around, and they're going to have all this money owed to Homer Bailey. Maybe they'll, how will he be pitching at that time? Who knows? That's 6-7 years from now.
Homer Bailey's 27, so statistically speaking, from 27 to 33 is the best years a pitcher will have.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, but if they're going to lock him up for 6 years, it should be
now's the
6
time to
years.
do it, I guess.
These are the 6 years you want to have a guy like
I don't know. That's just so many years for so much money. That's too big of a contract. These pitcher contracts, it's like we're forgetting everything that can go wrong.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
This could be a terrible deal.
You should be scared. If you were the Brewers, you should be scared of that contract.
If you're any team right now, if you're the Pirates with Garrett Cole, you're terrified.
You should be scared.
You should be.
And even the Reds. I'm looking at Matt Latos.
They made the deal.
I'm looking at Matt Latos' contract in 2013. He got $4.25 million. 2014, I don't know if you might get 7.
I don't think he's locked up yet, is he?
In 2015, arbitration, and in 2016, he is a free agent. So Matt Latos, some team's gonna come in.
Well, if the Reds don't give him $100 million, he's gonna be pissed. And he's gonna walk.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's worth $100 million just as much as Homer Bailey is.
Exactly.
That's for sure. The one thing I would like to bring up about Homer Bailey,
you're mortgaging the future.
Is that as a Pirates fan, knowing how good he's pitched against us, I'd say he might be worth it. He just might be. Who knows? This guy could be your ace. Could be.
Okay. Looking at,
Would you rather have Homer Bailey or Matt Latos?
I'll take Bailey because he's a little bit younger, and now
I think Latos is actually. I don't know.
Matt Latos is younger. 28. I guess Matt Latos.
It's not like a big difference.
Similar.
Obviously, they've made the decision that they would rather have. They made that decision. They wanted Homer Bailey.
Well, you just said it right there. It's one or the other, and they want Bailey. And this contract is too big to keep them both. And if you were going to compete every year, you want them both. You need them both.
Yeah.
You need the pitching. And this deal just is too big, man. And I know that
they're going
TV contracts are changing. And, I don't know the situation the Reds are in where maybe a few years it expires and they're going to cash in like some of these teams have. But it's unless they're going to start getting way more money in 5 years, they're going to need it with this deal and with the deals that this is going to set forth now as a precedent.
One thing that I wanted to say about Homer Bailey is I read this on the internet yesterday. I don't have a source, but I looked at the statistics for Homer Bailey pitching with a specific catcher. Now, the Reds traded Ryan Hannigan this past offseason, and he's gone, who is their almost everyday who's almost their everyday catcher.
What are you doing, Joe?
And now Devin Mesoraco is going to be their everyday catcher with an exception of a few days. His ERA last year, as with Ryan Hannigan as a catcher, was 2.71, which is elite.
Really good.
And with
200 strikeout guy, I mean, he's great. I'd love to have him, but
and a small sample size of Mesoraco, 7.83. That's 23 innings, which is a small
How
sample
good-
size.
Well, it doesn't.
Wow.
It doesn't say who he's
Wow.
playing. It doesn't say where he's playing.
that's
It does-
still that's a.
I mean,
stat.
that's
something,
huge.
something you have to
That's
consider.
huge.
And in 2012,
That's so different. And
2000
catchers affect pitchers. They-
2012,
absolutely.
Homer Bailey had 64 innings pitched with Hannigan, and his ERA was 3.2. And this is 2 years ago, but 2012. And Mesoraco had 137 innings pitched, which means his majority was with Mesoraco in 2012. His ERA was 3.95. So there's a big difference each year. Not that 3.95 is bad, but it's not 3.22.
It's not 2.7 whatever
Yeah.
too from
So-
this last year. So that is.
I mean, that
Look
has,
at that.
that is a bold number to look at. I mean, an entire run and a
Wow.
half.
I would be keeping Hannigan looking at those. And you know the Reds have those numbers. I mean,
Hannigan got paid by Tampa Bay, by the way.
What else do you think the NLCentral should be scared of?
I
Well-
think I'm.
Garrett Cole. That was another thing.
Garrett Cole is
thinking of.
obviously
I'm scared.
has the potential.
I am.
Potentials.
I am scared of Garrett Cole because he stepped up into the playoffs and then he pitched like a man during the playoffs.
You know,
Yes.
you know what I'm scared of, especially as a team like the Cubs who are dealing with some margin right now, and they're trying to find their Homer Bailey. They're trying to find their Garrett Cole. They're going to find him, and I'm scared of the deal that Garrett Cole's going to sign and the implication that has for everybody else. I mean, just these contracts.
That is a bit off in the future.
And the who
That's-
knows the way it's going? How far really?
Well, I mean, he was a rookie last year, so we won't have to actually pay him for 5 seasons.
I guarantee you, 2 years from now, he's going to have a monster deal.
Well, I'd love to lock him up long term, but we don't have to for 5 years, which is why the entire process is put in place
The process
for
is
teams
getting
like the Pirates
subverted.
to put the 5-year stretch of World Series runs together.
Well, if you want to keep him any longer than that, you got to sign him earlier, and that's what you're seeing with this deal with Bailey. That's what you're seeing. Obviously, the Atlanta Braves locking up everybody they already had.
I think it's a
and
little early to be
it's-
talking contract extensions with Garrett Cole. Just
And-
right now. Right now,
I'm ready
today.
to wait and see.
In,
Today-
I'm ready to
in
wait
terms
and
of
see.
performance, Joe, who are you more scared of, Garrett Cole or Michael Wacha?
I would say I saw great stuff out of both. I wish neither was in the NL Central.
Yeah, I know it's like Brewer. You see the
Man,
the
when are
Cards.
you guys going to get one of
No,
those?
no, we're
Yeah.
not. We have Willie Peralta.
We have
Thornburg
flame
people.
out.
But it is scared. I'm just scared looking at it because the Cards, even the Cubs got prospects coming up. You get the Pirates bringing in all this young arms. These
Our
young players.
farm
And then-
is
and
so
then-
barren. It's scary, and when you've got these other teams,
It's
with these
basically
young pitchers
haunted.
coming
It's
up,
basically haunted.
It's
Your
it's
farm
it's a
system is
haunted
basically
farm.
haunted.
I mean, we charged $10 in October after we were out of it to just come around to see how haunted our farm system is. It's so bad.
Yes,
And-
Halloween comes up once a year.
And you talk about we're still trying to go for it in Milwaukee, and
Well, you
We
got to go
just-
for it. You got to go for it right now.
we're going
That's what I
for it
think.
right now as much as we can.
And
but
they're not.
the
really
future
good.
bodes ill because you've got this deferred
Future
money.
bodes ill. I like that.
You've got this future, deferred money. You don't have the talent in the pipelines, and you're not luring that many free agents, and it's.
Garza.
I feel,
Yeah.
I feel like the Brewers can get a couple free agents. They're not so bad.
I think
With
this
that-
year could still work. A lot of people would disagree
I
with
mean,
that. I
it's
think
not.
this year could
It's
still
not like the
work.
Milwaukee Bucks where guys don't want
We're
to
not
come
the
here
Bucks,
because
thank
it's the summertime. People
I mean,
don't mind
yeah,
Milwaukee.
you
so
don't
bad
have
in
to deal with
summertime.
that winter. The summer's decent
Yeah,
here.
as soon as you guys lose your 90 games,
And you got the
people just
passionate
pack up
fans.
and go back south.
Well, you've got the passionate
No,
fans.
People love to
versus-
drink in Milwaukee. And
Just like Mark
tailgate.
Ellis wanted
it is
to
good
come.
fans. Don't take.
It's a great place to play.
I
Like you're
guarantee no
supported,
Brewer
low
player,
pressure.
no Brewer players is gonna knock the Brewers fans because they show up. They're there. They have a
Yeah,
presence.
sure.
Show up. You're well supported. The weather's not that bad. It's not the pressure of some of the bigger markets. I think Milwaukee's a great place to play, but you're still. I mean,
Newer
money-wise,
facilities.
Newer facilities in Miller Park. It's still pretty decent. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. But you still don't have that aspect where like the Cubs. Once you get a guy on the Cubs, he loves it there. It seems like people never want to. They don't want to leave. They like being Cubs for life.
Carlos Zambrano didn't like being a Cub because
he flamed out. I mean, that was him, and he's such a hothead.
He had a great career.
No, he was terrible. Look at his numbers, man. He got so bad, and he had that hothead. Carlos Zambrano is not the guy to point to.
Carlos Zambrano
Everybody
was
wants
a
to go.
star in baseball. Fact.
Look up his last couple of years. He's terrible.
Last couple of years?
I'm not
Everyone's
talking
last
about
couple of
Zambrano.
years
You're
is pretty bad.
Well, he wasn't
You're
that
derailing
old,
me.
and then he went
he
to
wasn't that
Miami.
old. And he got
Everyone's
so
last
bad.
couple of years are bad. That's why it's their last couple of years.
Well, his last couple of years were pretty young. He didn't last very long.
The point is, for 5 years, he was one of the best
I'm not talking
pitchers.
about Big Z right now. I'm talking about everyone wants to be a Cub because they like it there. They're well supported despite losing. And, when the Brewers win it all, I'll be very happy. But when the Cubs win it all, it's going to be so special. And who doesn't want to be a part of that? Who doesn't want to be that team? Who doesn't want to be David Ortiz of the Cubs?
Me.
Okay.
I'm not.
I'm just saying, like, Big Z is the complete wrong. Like, that's not. All right, let me talk about a guy who was good for a couple years and then flamed out so hard. Like, Zambrano sucks. Zambrano had 2 good years and then he sucked.
5 good years.
I don't know. He's so bad. He's still so young and so bad.
Speaking of hot-headed,
And he's a hothead. He's
well,
not
I
the
mean,
right example.
Do you guys see that the Venezuelan league or Dominican league or whatever that was
Haven't seen it.
You haven't seen that the guy get killed, almost killed with a bat. A guy took a bat
He
and
rushed-
he rushed and he took a legitimate swing.
Oh yeah, he tried to
at
hit
a
it.
guy's head
That's
with
what
a
I heard.
bat.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I mean,
don't
that guy
know.
should never be able to play baseball ever again in his life.
He
You
should never be an
probably
MLB-er.
not.
That guy will never ever be able to play baseball
Don't you think
anywhere.
that? Don't you think that should be attempted murder?
I think the police should get
Probably.
involved.
I think that's attempted. You
You
could
take
kill
a
a man.
you take a swing at a guy's head with a baseball bat, like a legit swing.
and you're
I
a
don't think
professional athlete.
if that's in America, that guy's from prison. But in Venezuela, it might not be.
in
That's
Venezuela, that guy
that happens every other week,
I don't
right?
know. I don't know.
Well, it's just that in America, everyone's so quick to press charges on every little thing, and it's not like that everywhere else. But
I don't know. I just don't think he's gonna get.
you know
what
what?
he would
Honestly,
get
I
if it
think
was
the
here.
other teams in the National League Central we should be scared of is all the other divisions might be catching up with us in the near future because it's an up and down battle, and we had 3 playoff teams this year.
Yeah, and being such a tight division, it's hard because you're going to be losing to each other. You're going to be really evened out.
So you could look
And
at
it's
a
going to give an
team
opportunity to other
like
divisions
the
in
Braves.
NL.
Between the Braves and Nationals, those
Braves
are 2
and
really good
Nationals.
teams that both should make the playoffs. I don't think we're going to have 3 teams in the playoffs.
And
this
then you
year.
look at maybe the Dodgers and the Giants. Still, I mean, they're
Giants, Diamondbacks.
the Diamondbacks. Are
I
going
saw-
for
I
this
saw
year. They're a
bold-
sleeper. Everybody likes Diamondbacks.
I saw a bold prediction that I kind of liked. I don't know. There's some Reddit user out there, maybe listening, but he said no team or nobody wins more than 95 games.
Nobody.
That's not true.
Well, not maybe nobody, but I could see like the NL Central. Nobody wins more.
Oh,
than
in the NL Central.
Well,
That's interesting. That's
I could say that in the NL Central, nobody wins more than 95 games.
All right, let's talk back to those predictions.
That
Right-
would blow my mind, really.
95?
No.
That's still quite a
Oh,
bit,
wait,
but that's
okay,
not.
the Cardinals won the division last year. They had like
98.
97,
97,
That's
98.
only 4 games.
Yeah, that's 4
But I
games
mean-
less. That's not that bold, but that is interesting because we've got these great teams. The Pirates won 94. The Reds won 90.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
I
crazy,
think
but
I-
under 95, it will be tighter.
Somebody could win. Somebody could win the NL Central with a 93 win season.
Because how much is Beltran
Maybe.
worth? How many wins? I mean, 93 could win the division, and you could see 92 and 91 right behind it. You know?
Every day I'm starting to slide on the Cardinals a little bit. I think they're coming back down to earth. I don't know. Just maybe it's just me being a homer. But I
It's-
just feel like they're coming back down a little.
They've got guys who performed a lot, and a bad season for them is 90 wins right now. So, I mean, coming back to earth isn't so bad for them. I still think they could get jumped. They could get jumped by the Pirates or the Reds. Just more competition from a team like the Brewers. And we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
All right, Brett, you got anything? Last words for today's podcast?
Go Brewers.
No.
Go Brewers.
Uh,
Go Brewers.
just that if anybody out there on any of these websites that we're posting our
Listening
podcasts
this
on,
far.
who are listening this far, thanks, first of all. And
Thank you.
secondly, please comment. Leave something maybe we could talk about next week.
Join the discussion.
Join. We will listen and post things about what you say.
Yes, we do take it to heart.
Yeah.
I don't take it to heart.
So don't
I take it
say
personal.
anything that would hurt my feelings.
I
No.
take it personal.
It should be everybody's job to break our feelings and hurt us.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I dare you to hurt me.
I dare you to hurt me.
No.
Joe. Joe's
so
tearing up right now. I just want to rub his shoulders back. It's gonna be okay.
Joe,
All right.
Joe, do you have anything else to say for today?
Now we're
Gone.
Gone. All right.
Get up, get out of here.
All right.
Gone.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you next time.